So today, we're moving on. When the unwholesome is around, find a way to release it. So today we're going to be working with unwholesome in body, speech, and mind. Unwholesome mental, emotional, and physical reactions arise out of greed, hatred, and delusion. Those three. These three are also referred to as the three poisons. They are what fuel the hindrances. Now, some of you may know that. They're mental afflictions or kleshas of desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worry and doubt. The three poisons also fuel our bad moods, our angry words, our negative self-talk, our mindless moments, and our unskillful actions. There are many roads that lead to the unwholesome. We may habitually run our own negative soundtrack in our head. We may just be in a bad mood, woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or someone else may have had a hand in it. We may have just had a difficult conversation with a friend that leaves us stirred, worried, upset. We may feel impatient because we're in a rush. We may respond to physical pain or to our bodies with anger, despair, or frustration. Maybe reading or watching the news leaves us feeling discouraged, fearful, and enraged. We may feel justified and righteous in our anger, which only fuels the fire while the anger wreaks havoc on us. Afflictive mind states are stressful for the whole of the system. The body is implicated in everything the mind does. When we are upset, when someone or something makes our blood boil, look out. The expression says it all. Adrenaline and cortisol are coursing through our veins. In the moment, we may feel empowered, but that anger, that's exacting a price on our body, nobody else's. Unwholesome mind states are corrosive. Whatever the cause, once the unwholesome thoughts and emotions are swirling in us, it becomes our job to tend to them and to tend to how we feel wisely and kindly. So once again, the first order of business is noticing that an unwholesome mind state is present. We don't do anything different unless we notice its presence. We can't. But noticing isn't always so easy when, for example, the usual soundtrack in our mind is judgmental and critical. Because it's so ubiquitous, so familiar to us, that we can easily miss it or dismiss it. But if we know this is our habit, if we know this about ourselves, then we can start to move in a more mindful direction, become more mindful of its presence, and begin to interrupt the habit. It can also be hard to see these mind states when we are actively in them. Sometimes we are swept up in the heat of the moment, so caught in the current of emotion that we feel possessed, like something has taken us over. It has. When that happens, we're not thinking about the consequences of what we just said or did. We're simply acting out of anger. That's normal. Often we don't see how angry we were until later, in hindsight, when we've cooled off a bit. So be patient, be understanding. We're training, we're learning how to respond more skillfully. Get to know your reactive patterns. Get to know the afflictive mind states as they arise when they're on the scene. Be on the lookout for them. Because only when they have been noticed, only when they have really been seen, can we begin to interrupt their momentum and encourage their release. Once we notice that we've been holding on to anger, this noticing alone gives us a little wiggle room to do something different. We aren't completely lost in it. We have enough presence of mind to see it and practice a new move. This is the point of the practice. We're learning new moves, new ways of responding to what is happening. So today, we're learning the skill of letting go. When the unwholesome is around, do your best to let go of it as quickly as possible. Drop it like a hot potato. Drop it before it burns you more than it already has. We know this intellectually, but it can be hard to do. Hard when we feel justified and righteous. We're talking about doing a different move that will release it as much and as quickly as possible from the body, heart, mind. So we're going to explore how to interrupt these trains of thought, not feed the fire. We're going to learn how to de-escalate ourselves, learn how to soothe our nervous system. These are good skills to learn. Okay, so the next time, say, impatience arises, practice seeing it. Notice and name it. Wow, impatience. I'm really impatient right now. This is the first step, knowing what is happening, knowing what we're working with. And this in and of itself is a skill that we can develop. Now, once we know what is happening, the second step is to take a breath, to let go of the thought and drop attention down, bring it back down into the body breathing. This is the same move as coming back into the holding environment for those of you who know that reference. Step 3, now we're in the body. Feel the unpleasantness, just enough to register the stress that it's causing. Feeling the unpleasantness is important because this is how the organism learns to drop the hot potato. Coming back inside the body, we can assess how it feels. We can feel how the emotion or the thought is living in us, literally. Often it's unpleasant, and our habit is just to get away from the unpleasant. But here in practice, we actually want to feel the unpleasantness enough so that its hurt, its suffering registers, dawns on us enough that we want to interrupt or lessen the impact. We want to feel the heat of the potato enough to register it, enough to drop it as quickly as possible. Feeling pain, feeling discomfort, the charge of the emotion is not for the faint at heart. It takes practice, many times, many repetitions, to feel it and not get lost in it, not get thrown back up into thinking and reacting. This brings us to the fourth step, to consider how best to relate to it so that it releases. We meet ourselves where we are, and we learn what our current skill set is and develop it from here. For example, sometimes an emotion is so hot that all we can do is notice and name it. That's a lot. To feel its burn and its unpleasantness is actually too much right now. So once it's been seen, we take a breath, withdraw attention from thinking, and firmly land attention, bring attention into the body breathing, and allow the organism the space and the time to resettle or to reconstitute the holding environment. Okay. This is good practice, just this. We're doing damage control. We're not letting the fire burn. Each time the mind tries to pull us back up into the story, we notice, we deliberately unhook from that, and we tether attention to the breath to the body, and we feel the body breathing. We just come back into the body breathing. If we can tolerate small moments of feeling the stress or the pressure, well, then perhaps We can touch into the feeling, feel it, and then bring the attention back to the whole body breathing and let the tension untangle itself. Repeat this as many times as is needed. Toggle between the tension and then just noticing the feeling of the whole body breathing. It will unwind on its own. Or we might, as someone mentioned yesterday, shift attention completely to something uplifting, like recollecting the flowers in the garden or the joy of playing with our grandchildren. Focusing on the wholesome, we can create a little more breathing room and restabilize the system a little more quickly so we can learn how to hold the hot potato. Finally, support the organism to let go of the stress by soothing the tension. This is where I often use the phrase ground, breathe, calm, settle, soothe. Soothe the upset until the organism feels a little more at home in its skin. Soothing is an important skill because here we are in training the heart to grow a bit more kind and a bit more compassionate. This will also restore the system to balance more quickly. So either way, we are deliberately learning how to unhook from the story and deliberately not fueling the emotion. And instead, we're supporting or letting the organism come back to balance, come back to homeostasis. This is wise. This is kind. This is releasing the stressful. All right? So let's review the new moves. Remember, the name of the game is when the unwholesome is around, find a way to release it. Step one is always going to be seeing it, seeing what's happening. Notice and name it if you can. That clarifies what it is we're looking at. 2, take a breath. Let go of the thought and drop attention down into the body and feel the body breathing. 3, feel the unpleasantness that's rattling around in the body now, just enough to register the stress that thought or emotion is causing the whole of the system. Okay? 4, consider the best way to release it. Perhaps it's moving attention between the feeling of stress and coming back to feeling the whole body breathing or sensing the holding environment. The second possibility, or the second move, is to soothe the upset. Soothe the upset as you would soothe a child. We know this. Ground, breathe, calm, settle, soothe. They're there, my darling. This too will pass. Soothe the upset until the organism feels a little more at home in its skin. All right. We can do this. We can do this. It's for our welfare to keep practicing letting go of the unwholesome mind states both on and off the cushion. So this is what we're going to encourage you to play with today. All right? Thank you for your kind attention. Now, if you will, please take your kind eyes and warm heart and let's open up the body, give the body a little more breathing room. If it feels comfortable, lift the arms over the head, clasp one wrist, lean over to one side, and open up the whole of the body, the whole side body that's been exposed. Open that up. One full inhalation, one full exhalation. Come back through center, clasp the other wrist. Lean over to the other side, take another nice full inhalation, nice full exhalation, release the tension, release the arms, come on back down. Place one hand on the opposite thigh, come into a twist, and in that twist, take a nice full inhalation and a nice full exhalation. Release the twist on that side and come over to the other side. Nice full inhalation on this side. Nice full exhalation. And then come on back to center. Maybe just loosen up the shoulders. Gently tenderize the shoulders. Let's loosen the head. Maybe let's do some head circles. Now imagine that the head is moving through water, and move the head slowly, but let's do 3 circles in one direction and 3 circles in the other. And wobble the head around and just let that come back to center. And last but not least, if you will, and if you feel comfortable, take your fingertips and bring them on up to your jaw and gently massage the jaw, open the jaw, roll the jaw around, maybe tap the jaw and the cheeks. Let's soften the muscles. There are 43 muscles in each side of the face, a lot of muscles. Let's give them permission to release. Maybe rub the jaw and the cheeks. And when that feels relatively complete, bring the hands back down and let them settle into a comfortable position. Gently close the eyes if that feels helpful. Let go of the outside world and let's bring the attention squarely into the interior. And even right here, we might just take a few deeper than usual inhalations and a few deeper than usual exhalations, and then let the breath find its own rhythm. This opens up the breath body. And keep feeling into the field of the body and let the body unwind and settle down on the cushion or the chair. Soften the attention and sense how the whole of the body is breathing right now. Maybe even settle back a little bit more and notice how the breath is moving all on its own. Maybe drop in some appreciation and gratitude just for that, just for the body sitting here breathing all on its own. The breath of life. And with kind eyes, just look up and see if there's any busyness in the mind, and see if you can let the busyness float by like clouds in the sky. Meanwhile, there's just this sitting here and a body breathing. Now, for the next little while, let's form the intention to not follow the mind road, to practice letting go of thinking. Each time the mind wanders away in thought and you notice it, take a breath, withdraw attention from thinking, and drop it down into the body breathing. Let it unwind there. Last few minutes of this sitting, can you settle back a little bit more and feel into the whole body breathing and receiving the breath? And then drop in the awareness of context. All of us sitting here with you, and you sitting here with us. Each of us making room for ourselves and each other to be just as we are. Breathe and receive the blessing of that. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for your kind attention.